Adams played in 78 NFL games over 5 seasons for 6 different teams. The York County Sheriff's Office says the victims include a prominent doctor, Robert Leslie, his wife, 2 of their grandchildren, and a man who worked at their home.
Welcome back to another episode of DAS with your boy, Sean Mack. And everyone that's listening to me, I want you to do something for me. I'm going to do a little exercise. I want you to imagine that you're an ex-NFL player. You've played 21 years in the sport, from high school, Pop Warner, college, and decades in the NFL. And now that you're retired, you're starting to hear voices. You're starting to act like you normally wouldn't act. You're starting to have visions. You're starting to hear the voices telling you to do things that you know that's not right. What would you do? Would you reach out and get help from a psychiatrist? Would you reach out to your ex-NFL players and let them know what you're going through, and your family members and let them know what you're going through? Or would you succumb to the voices in your head and do exactly what they're telling you to do? Because that's exactly what Phillip Adams did. On April 7 of 2021, Adams shot and took out 6 people at a house in Rock Hill, South Carolina. During the standoff the very next day, Adams fatally took himself out as the police were closing in. This is a tale of CTE is a real thing, and you better believe it. So remember, if you like today's content, make sure you share, like, and subscribe to the video. So let's go. This article is from NPR. A former NFL player who shot and took out 6 people and then took his own life in April was suffering from a severe medical condition brought on by repeated head trauma, doctors announced on Tuesday. Boston University's neuropathologist said Phillip Adams had CTE, or chronic traumatic encephalopathy, a degenerative brain disease found in many former NFL players. Quote, Phillip Adams had an extraordinary amount of CTE pathology in the frontal lobe, the area of the brain behind the forehead. Frontal lobe damage is associated with violence, impulsive or explosive behavior, a short fuse, and a lack of self-control, end quote. Dr. Ann McKee, director of the Boston University CT Center, said in a statement, quote, his CTE pathology might have contributed to his abnormal behavior, in addition to physical and psychiatric factors, end quote. She added.
In interviews with the Adams family, we learned he endured several concussions, which is known to lead to chronic traumatic encephalopathy, commonly referred to as CTE. According to the family, Adams complained of excruciating pain from his injuries, often had memory issues, and difficulty sleeping.
Phillip Adams had frontal lobe atrophy as evidenced by enlarged frontal horns of the lateral ventricles. He also had a large cavum septum pellucidum with atrophy of the fornices, and microscopically he had very dense and extensive tau pathology in a pattern and distribution diagnostic of stage 2 CTE.
The tragic event that took place earlier this year shocked rural South Carolina and raised questions about the former cornerback's health. Authorities said on April 7, Adams went to the home of Dr. Robert Leslie and offed him, his wife, and 2 of their grandchildren, ages 9 and 5. He also offed 2 air conditioning technicians who were working at the property at the time. Adams, age 32, later offed himself in a standoff with the police at his parents' home nearby. Both families said the knowledge that Adams had CTE before he carried out these horrible acts brought them some solace. Quote, these 8 months have been extremely difficult, the Leslie family said in a statement according to Charlotte's Observer. Even in the midst of crushing heartbreak, we are finding some comfort in the CTE results, and that the explanation they provided for the irrational behavior pertaining to this tragedy, end quote. CTE cannot be diagnosed during a person's life, but only through an examination of their brain after death. Doctors who studied Adams' brain said he had stage 2 CTE, which is the most common stage for football players diagnosed with the disease in their 30s. Stage 4 CTE is the most severe, they said, and usually involves dementia. The disease is linked to mood changes and memory loss, as well as aggression and impulsive behavior. It is unknown exactly what causes CTE, and there is no cure. All right, we don't know what exactly causes it, but we know what causes it, right? That was terrible. That family still showing support to him and showing that their hearts break for him, knowing what he did to the rest of their family. Remember, if you like today's content, make sure you share, like, and subscribe to the video. It's greatly appreciated. Appreciate the support. Small channel and we're growing. I have some receipts as always, and we're gonna see can we make any sense of this madness. It's a horse that I beat all the time. That horse done passed away so long ago. That horse is rotting right now, but I'm still beating it. What I mean by that is, first and foremost, the NFL will eventually be held responsible for the lack of action involving CTE. As I said all the time, they try to sweep it under the rug. Now, for the players that are playing now in the age of knowing of CTE, I can say they signed up for it. They definitely signed up for it because they know about it. But previously, before that, the decades before the CTE results and everything came out, the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, early 90s, you can't fault them. Even in the early 2000s, you cannot fault those players because they didn't know. The NFL knew about it for decades. The NFL has known about this since like the 70s, and not once did they tell anyone. They trotted people out, let them sign those contracts, and didn't tell them the real risk of it. Now, I know what people against it are like, yeah, but they hitting your head, you know something going to come out of it, blah, blah, blah. But no, sometimes you didn't know, and I'm pretty sure a lot of those people would have not signed up to play in the NFL. Thus, why you see so many young players retiring right now, 1-2 years into the NFL, because they don't like how it's making them feel in their mid to late 20s. So the game has changed, and the game will change more. They're trying to make the rules more safe, but you can never make a combat sport safe. You cannot make 2 cars, 2 Rams, 2 Bulldogs crashing into each other safe. That's just the way that it goes. The NFL will be held accountable eventually for more of what they did, and I'll be there waiting. Number 2 is, this is the exact reason I pushed for Tua Tagovailoa to retire. I'm not worried about Tua. I'm worried about his family and his loved ones. So when I seen on TV, and you had shows like the Dan Lepertar show, you had other shows that was saying that it's all on Tua. It's all on Tua. He's a man. He can make his own choices. But see, this is the key. I'm not worried about the choices that Tua is making for himself. As I just stated, does anyone not care about what happened to the people who's done things to other people and their families? Not worried about Tua. I'm worried about a 45, a 50-year-old Tua that has retired, possibly doing something to his kids. Don't even know if he have kids. By then he probably will. To his kids, his wife, his mother, his loved one, like Phillip Adams did. 2 technicians that was working on an air conditioner at the house had to suffer for his brain damage and his CTE. So it's nothing that anyone can tell me why Tua shouldn't retire. I know he's his own man, but I'm not worried about the man. I'm worried about what that man can do to other men, women, and children. Thus why Tua should retire. One more thing, I'm going to let you get on out of here. I appreciate you. Remember, if you like today's content, make sure you share, like, and subscribe to the video. I need those subs. Number 3, Junior Seau chose to hurt himself, take himself out, and not his loved ones. But Javon Belcher, who also had CTE, chose to take the other route in the other measure. He chose the other route just like Phillip Adams. He chose to go hurt someone and then go to the Kansas City Chiefs Arrowhead Stadium and take himself out. So you can't tell me that it's all up to what that person is and who he is, and I'm a man, I can do it myself. I chose to do this. When you choose to do something that can hurt you, that's cool. That's fine and dandy. But when you choose to do something that can hurt people surrounding you and your loved ones, thus we have a problem. Not everyone's going to be a soldier like Junior Seau, who wrote the note of a song, and it stated, I don't recognize the man I've become. And he knew that he would do something. And he knew the voices were closing in on him, so he chose to take himself out. I'm talking about Junior Seau before he took out his loved ones. But everybody don't listen to the voices in the manner of what Junior Seau did. They told him to take himself out, but other voices tell other people to do other things to their loved ones and their families. So NFL, I'm going to beat this dead horse till you pay. On that note, I've been Sean Mack, and this is Death After Sports. Phillip Adams. Peace.